The ranking member, Dr. Adams, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And again, I want to thank the witnesses. I will say it again, working hard is not enough if you don't make enough. I want to direct my question to Ms. Conte. First of all, let me just say I'm concerned with how we can not just protect workers' paychecks, but also protect their time so that people can earn a meaningful income and have the time to enjoy it. The overtime threshold has been allowed to stay flat for long periods of time. In fact, at one point, it had stayed the same for 29 years. If the overtime threshold is set at a flat, unchanging amount, what does that mean for workers' pay and for workers' time?
Right. Well, actually, ma'am, if the overtime threshold is set at what seems like a static amount, it actually is a changing amount, because every year it erodes and it means less in terms of absolute dollars. So whether we index for inflation, which just keeps the status quo, or we set a number that erodes every year, it is a number that continues to change in effect and in reality every year. It's detrimental to workers. I mean, we saw that period from 1975 to 2004 when there was no change of a threshold. The Trump administration signaled that it planned to revisit the threshold every 3 years, acknowledging that that is a best practice. But of course, we haven't been able to revisit it that quickly again. The administrative process is, by definition, time-consuming, expensive. It's fabulous government practice to do something that is efficient, that keeps things steady for workers, and again, keeps things steady for employers. I've been doing this work for 30 plus years, and I've testified at a number of these hearings before, and what I always hear from my colleagues in the business community is they want to be able to plan. They want predictability, and they want bright line rules. Well, this rule gives them a bright line threshold and the predictability that every 3 years there will be modest increases that just keep pace with costs. And if we're in a recessionary period, in fact, there would probably be no increase, or there might be a decrease, in fact, in the threshold.
So thank you. So let me ask you, let me say that the venture capitalist and entrepreneur Nick Hanauer writes that the low overtime threshold has enabled some employers to reduce jobs, such as by converting 3 40-hour work week jobs into 2 60-hour work week jobs, and to pocket the 40 hours in lost wages. So do you agree? And what would the Biden administration's proposal overtime rule mean for jobs?
I absolutely agree. That's what's happening, and the National Bureau of Economic Research confirmed that in its groundbreaking study this year. We see lawsuits and media accounts all the time, in particular in retail and in hospitality, and I'm certainly not saying this about my distinguished colleague here, but and in the restaurant industry, that people are routinely working 50, 60, sometimes more hours per week with phony job titles, if you will, and they're not only not getting paid overtime for those hours, they're not getting paid anything at all extra for those hours.
Okay.
And then they're losing time with their families and in their personal lives as well.
Okay, let me ask about other policies that could protect workers' time and ability to balance work and life. For example, who in our economy is working variable hours each week? And what do we know about the importance of predictable scheduling on workers' mental health?
Yeah, by and large, it is low-wage workers who are subject to what we call just-in-time scheduling, where they don't have enough advance notice to plan adequately for childcare, transportation, other aspects of their life, including things like going to take care of their health. They can often report for work and not have enough work to do, and then are sent home, so they don't earn the full wage that they expect to that day, even if they've already brought their child to daycare and paid for a whole day. So this just-in-time and unpredictable scheduling really wreaks havoc, not just on the temporal lives of workers, but it really impacts their ability to build a steady work history, to have predictable incomes, to build a security as they go along. So that is why we support the Schedules That Work Act, which would give workers a substantial advance notice about their schedules. When they show up, they get an adequate wage, an adequate number of hours, and they're able to plan the rest of their lives.
Well, thank you very much. You've answered the questions before I asked. I appreciate it very much, and thank you for your testimony. I yield back, Mr.
You're
Chairman.
welcome, ma'am.
The representative from Illinois, Ms.